Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Ghouls Night In, the spooky chat show with your best ghoul friends. I'm Penny Snark,
And I'm Midge Munster.
and it's been a while since I just told you about something that I think is scary, Midge.
I can't wait to be told about what you think is scary.
Yes, so today we are going to be talking about astrophobia,
Who
or
is
the
that?
fear of space.
Yeah, okay, cool.
Yes, and I'm just like, billionaires are out here taking trips to space for the lulz. They want to colonize Mars, and I am just like, that's a hard pass. I'm not
Yeah.
here for that. I mean, from the good of mankind standpoint, I also think it's bad, but like just the space part too, I do not like.
Yeah, this is one that I actually resonate with. I am
Ooh,
much more afraid of space than I am of like deep water or dark water. Um
nice. Yeah, space is something for me where like I'm interested in it and I like hearing things about it, but if I think about it, it
Too
scares me
hard.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Well, yeah, like I love like learning about, I mean, obviously I'm a witch. Like I love I love learning about planets and like stars and shit. But yeah, no. Like going to space, absolutely not.
Mm-mm.
What's the famous movie that the tagline is like, in space no one can hear you scream?
That would be
Is
Alien,
that
which
Alien?
we will talk about later.
Yeah, I
Um,
don't fuck with that.
right, exactly. And I'll say up front before we get into this that I am not a scientist,
No?
or
I
even
am.
I know. All
Midge's
right,
Science Corner.
Midge's Science Corner will be the source of truth in this episode. So I legit like tried to read a bunch of like cosmological theory stuff and fully did not understand any of it. So sorry in advance for that.
You were just like, and then you like hit the little X on
Hmm.
your browser.
Right. Yep. I like stroked my pretend beard and then was like, close. Um, so like space stuff is like very high level theories of physics, and there's a lot of math, and there's like a lot of disagreements between people who are very smart about what things mean. And the fact that space is so complicated is one of the things I do not like about it. So
Yeah,
there you
that's
go.
fair.
So
Yeah.
sorry if anything I say is not scientifically accurate, but we're just doing our best out here.
If you are a space scientist and you are listening to our show, why? How did you get here? Are you
Well,
okay?
oh man. Well, so here, Midge, this is a list of things that I think are scary about space.
I can't wait. This is going to be new
So,
Ghouls Night merch.
number one, no oxygen.
Yeah, 0 out of 10.
You can't you
Immediately
can't
no.
sur- you can't survive out there.
Mm-mm.
And I did look up. I was like, okay, what is gonna happen if you are out here with no spacesuit? And
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's the scary part.
yes, and so like obviously there are very dramatic versions in movies, and apparently like the reality would not be quite as dramatic, but it's still extremely bad. So the
It's
good
definitely
news,
not good.
no, the good news is that you would probably lose consciousness after 15 seconds.
Oh, so it's kind of
So
like drowning in a
yeah,
way.
so the rest you won't have to consciously experience.
Well, that's better, at least.
Yes, because all of the liquid in your body will start to bubble and expand. It is called ebulism. It can happen in high altitudes, just like on Earth, also. But fun fact: I was reassured by many articles that your blood won't actually boil. But
Okay.
that's just because your skin provides enough pressure to keep it from like fully boiling, but you would double in size as all the liquids in your body bubble and inflate.
Hey, body positivity. If my body wants to double in size in space, more power to it.
That's fine. And your corpse would eventually freeze solid because it's cold as shit.
Amazing. You know what? I find that less terrifying than Body Farm, to be frank. Solid
Oh
body
man.
feels better
All right.
than rotting in the sun body. But yeah, that any kind of thing where people or like like any space movie that I've seen where someone like either their body like pops or
Mm-hmm.
or Isn't this kind of the same thing that happens if you surface too quickly from like diving as
Yes.
well?
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
the
see,
pressure change.
I find that concept truly disturbing on a deep level.
It
Thanks,
is.
thanks, Thousand Ways to Die on Spike TV.
Yes. My second thing that's scary about space, things are too big. They're just too big. So the largest known structure in the universe is called the Hercules Corona Great Wall, and it is so big that it would take a vehicle traveling at the speed of light 10 billion years to get across it.
Yikes! Wait, so
What?
it's a wall
It's so
in space?
it's a large quasar group, which is one of the things that I
Hmm.
tried to understand what it
Yeah,
was,
I'm stroking my beard right
and
now.
I do not. Um, but when they discovered this thing in 2013, and it's double the size of the previous biggest thing. So like, who knows what else is out there that's just insanely big.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And well, I mean, planets, they're huge. Look,
They
look, we're on one right now.
yes, and
Everybody look out your window and look at the
I
planet.
mean, look out your
It's
window, look at the planet.
giant.
This is so much bigger than any planet. This is
Yeah,
so big. This is so big.
a quasar group. Now I'm gonna be looking at space the rest of the day, and it's your fault.
Right. And okay, this was one of the ones where I was like, oh, I'll do something that I think is like legitimately scary. And then I was looking at all of these pictures and all these writings about like the infinite vastness of space and was just like extremely anxious, as I knew that I would be because it's the thing that I'm scared of.
I love this.
And
This says a large quasar group is a collection of large quasars.
right, it's like, thanks, guys.
Okay, perfect. It's something about a black hole, though, which I'm sure we're going to get into that
Mm-hmm.
because, yep.
Mm-hmm. But also, what is known, quotes, some studies say that they don't think that this giant thing exists. So space is an eternal mystery, which I also hate.
So they discovered it, but then they also said maybe it isn't real.
Okay, so that's the thing. That is the thing about space, which is which is one of the things that I dislike the most about it, is that almost all of this stuff is like theoretical because they're like, well, if you follow the math that we made up, we think that it says this. And I'm like, but you made the math. So how do you know for sure? And you don't know because you can't go there and you can't see it.
So they didn't see it. They just were like, statistically, this thing is here and it's huge.
I think so. I think like they'll see like one little thing and they'll be like extrapolating from this thing that we saw, there's something that's 10 billion light years long out there. And I'm like, how what?
How did we get
What?
This is
And
my favorite episode.
I'm sure anyone who knows something about space will be like, well, actually, we can tell this, this, and this. And I'm like, I don't think so. I
This
can't.
is like the ultimate fear of the unknown. Because
Yes.
like there's just no way of knowing.
Yeah. There's no
Truly.
way. There's no way of knowing. Another thing that I hate about space is that you are completely dependent on technology when you are out there.
Yeah.
You just have this is like, and like we said, it's this completely wild environment that we don't understand all the rules of, and you're just like, I bet it's fine if we put these people in this little metal thing and shoot it out there, and it's gonna work out. And like most of the time it does, but sometimes it does not. And like it's not even like, an airplane that you like. I'm also afraid of airplanes a little bit for that reason if I think about it too hard. But at least those you can like emergency land and be like, okay, we're still like in the atmosphere, but
Yeah,
not in space.
Yeah, space. It's like, oh, bye.
Goodbye forever.
Goodbye. When will I see you again?
Oh,
Oh,
never.
never. Yeah, no,
Ooh.
that or the idea that when people leave a space, is it called a spaceship, a rocket? When someone leaves the vessel,
Yeah, a spacecraft.
a craft of sorts, and they are trusting that little suit with its little helmet to keep them alive. No.
Right, and just a little tether that you're like, this will keep me from floating away into
Yeah.
infinite nothingness.
A rope In this economy, a rope? No. Yeah,
No.
no, that's terrifying. Yeah, floating away.
Right? And even the simple stuff where it's like you need super powerful technology just to use the bathroom. And like what if that breaks and then you can't go to the bathroom and you're stuck in
I mean,
space?
you
What are you
you
going
you
to do?
can. It's
Yeah,
not gonna
you
be
just use
nice.
yes, it's not good. It's not good and I don't like it.
Yeah, okay. Well, I don't want to jump ahead of you here, but I have a hypothetical
All right,
question
hit
for
me
you.
up.
You're in space. I know, immediately
Would
no,
not
but
happen, but go on.
but hypothetically, you're in space. Your tether does not tether you.
Mm.
Right. You're floating out there in your little suit. I'm assuming those suits have like probably what, like an hour's worth of oxygen or something, like not very much. Do you let yourself just float until you run out of oxygen, or are you yeeting the helmet off and quickening the process?
Oh, girl, you know I'm eating.
Yeah, same.
Just in any instance, whenever like people are like, "Oh, what would you do to survive in a zombie apocalypse?" And I'm like, I
I wouldn't.
simply would not. I don't
That's
want to live in the zombie apocalypse. Thank you very
the
much.
idea of just sitting in my anxiety waiting to die floating through space is maybe the worst thing I can think of.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen.
Just pop that little tab on my
I'm
helmet and
popping that face shield and
beam me up,
I'm
Scotty. Yeah.
beam me up, Scotty. My blood's gonna start bubbling and we're done.
Mm-hmm.
Just 15 seconds.
Yeah, that's a lot better. I can handle 15. You can do anything for 15 seconds.
Right. And so, related to all of these things, and the next thing that I hate about space is that it's both claustrophobic and agoraphobic at the same time.
Yeah,
Because you're
that's
trapped
valid.
in a little craft or you're inside a little suit, but also you're surrounded by potentially infinite and constantly expanding thing. And I do not like that.
I think like the being in the little pod would bother me more than the space. I'm very claustrophobic. I'm not interested in being in a small craft with any other anything.
Right.
And
And
I'm
you're just
definitely not interested in wearing a helmet. I'm not that
um,
covers my face. I'm not interested in
whenever
that.
I like see videos of like astronauts doing like this is my daily life in the space stuff, I'm just like it's so small and there's like all these people in this very tiny space and it's got stuff on every single wall because there's no gravity, so you're just like floating around doing whatever.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to be a controversial statement. And for what? Like, I know, like, okay, science, great. Uh, I'm sure you get to, like, behold things and be like, wow, that's crazy. But was it worth it? I don't know. I would say no, personally. I'm not. You could be like, you're going to see the most wondrous sight you've ever seen, but you have to get in this tiny little craft and go outside the atmosphere and be like, you know what? I'm good.
Yeah.
Actually, thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure this is a fool's opinion,
Oh,
but
right,
I'm
absolutely,
just
yeah.
like personally, I'm like the coolest part of space stuff is like with our like sweet new telescope that has like incredible imagery and stuff. Like I feel
Well,
like that's cooler
right,
than
like, and I
being
can
like
see
I
that
did a
here.
science experiment with no gravity. It's like you didn't need to go up there.
I can
I
see, well, and that, yeah, I mean, I understand years ago before we had like this intense imaging and stuff to
mhm.
like, if you wanted to just like experience that for yourself and really see it, more power to you. But yeah, like now the images we have of like the earth and planets and stuff, I'm like, I don't need to go anywhere. I can see that right now.
Right. And
Google.com.
I'm gonna say, like, just in case any, like, space people are super offended by this, I feel the same way about, like, the tops of mountains. Like, I don't need to go there. Like, I'm not going up there. I'll look at the picture and I'll see what it looks like, and it looks pretty cool, but that's enough for me.
Yeah, it's not
So,
personal space. It's just, uh yeah. And I think it's awesome that if people want to go there, cool. Like you're brave.
yeah,
I'm
enjoy
not.
it.
Yeah, have a great time. Please be safe. But yeah, no, not for me.
Yeah, and not something that I like want to get like into heavy discussion of here, so I didn't actually take like any real notes about it, but I did see an interesting like study that was mentioned while I was doing some of this research just about like the difference in space enthusiasm
Mm-hmm.
in people, and just like that people who are like over 65 are like very pro space
Pro
and
space.
people who are younger tend to be like, I don't know, like either space is scary or like I think we have a lot of earth problems to deal with that maybe
Right.
that maybe
Well, and
are our primary focus. So
yeah, it's like the
I
ultimate form of escapism, right? People are like, "Well,
mhm,
just go out there." It's like, "No, we
no.
already ruined this. So,
Yeah, we
please
got to
don't
work on
touch
this thing
that."
first.
Yeah. We don't even know what's going to happen if you ruin that out there. Yeah,
hmm
no.
Well, as you predicted, Midge, the next thing on my
And
list of things I hate about space are black holes.
oh, there you go. Yeah.
So,
I don't understand how that works.
right. So the theory is that a black hole forms when a massive star runs out of fuel to stay a star and it collapses in on itself and creates an inescapable sucking force of gravity that not even light can escape.
I have depression and what? No.
Right.
No,
Same girl.
same. No, that, yeah, that, see that.
We're so black hole coded, Mitch.
um, I don't, I mean, I know that's the point. I was gonna be like, so I don't understand.
Right.
I
Yeah.
know that, like, we don't understand black holes, and that's the whole thing, but, like, where does it go?
Yeah. I do not know. That's the thing where I'm like, do you suck it in and it just so obviously like the space theory thing is that there might be a white hole that just constantly emits things with this like wacky space concept that there's like that's a wormhole that like there's a
It's just, like,
tunnel between them.
perpetually vomiting out
Yeah, that just
space
spits
trash.
spits out straight space trash. But
Amazing.
that you
I
also black holes are functionally invisible because they do not emit radiation because they only suck things in. So like they find them by like looking at the gravitational behavior of like stuff around them and are just like, seems like stuff's being sucked into a crazy space drain over there.
Yeah, I don't like that because then the other way you find them is by dying. And
Mhm.
that seems, I don't like discovery by death. That's
No.
not, I'm not interested.
No,
Um
not a fan.
I do I think it would be fascinating fascinating to be sucked into a black hole, like, if, like, what if then you knew and you got plopped out like 200 years from now? That would be crazy.
I mean, that would be cool, but I feel like the concept is like, oh, you like just kind of get like turned into spaghetti and it just like shreds you apart.
Sure, but what if it didn't?
But what if it didn't?
This is also why I can't go into space, because there is the intrusive thought aspect of, like, but what if I go in and then I
Get in the
become
black
the
hole.
king of Saturn?
No,
What would happen?
there
Um
you go.
yeah, those scare me though. That's scary.
Yes, and as of 2021, the nearest thing that we believe to be a black hole is 1,500 light years away from Earth,
Bless.
which sounds kind of far, but we
Oh
were
no.
just talking about something that was billions of light years long, so that feels kind of small in like space.
Well, and also, like, isn't a light year made up? We don't know what that means. Like, how far is a light year from here? Do you have a light year measuring tape? Because I don't. That could be like right next door and I wouldn't know. They could be like, it's 15 light years, and I'd be like, oh, thank God. That just seems like something they made up to make me feel calm.
Yeah, I mean, I
Um,
know it's the distance that it takes for light to travel, but I do not functionally understand what that means.
the fact that some people's brains work in science is fantastic to me.
Yeah, it's pretty
Like,
wild.
that's proof that, I don't know, something, I'm not supposed to be here. I'm in the wrong timeline. Because if I'm in the same timeline as someone who knows what a light year is, why am I here? To make this podcast.
Right, to make this podcast and just talk shit about stuff that we do not understand. And finally, I will just say that everything poetic, even getting away from the science, all the poetic things that people say about space that are supposed to be deep and meaningful are in fact extremely upsetting to me personally.
Like what?
Like when things are like, oh, we're all just made of stardust, and like, oh, just think some stars that you see died millions of years ago, but the light is still on its way because of fucking light years. And I'm like, no, that's not poetic. That's terrifying. What are you talking about?
That's a ghost, Margaret. Like
Right?
that's
I don't
what
want
you
these
described.
ghost stars shining at me. Or like, I don't know. I see a lot of people say that like they find it really comforting to think that we are like so incredibly like tiny and insignificant in the universe.
Now
And
I
I'm
do
like,
agree with that.
see, I'm just like, no, I hate that. That's like being like, oh yeah, everything that like your brain weasels say is true and you don't matter.
Right. I find that comforting.
Ugh, I hate
Because
it.
then it's like you can really I was actually talking about this today. So when we're recording this, daylight savings time just happened
Yes.
or turned off. I don't understand that either. I don't know how it works. But what I do know is that everyone got together and agreed that time didn't matter.
Yep.
Like that is ultimate proof to me that time is fake, because everyone was like,
is.
what if we just stopped doing it and did it differently twice a year?
And also, some people don't do it. I was
Right.
just, because we were talking about it, I was talking to my sister about it, and she was like, oh yeah, this guy I work with is working from Brazil, and they don't do daylight savings time there, so he's always been 2 hours ahead of us, and now he's 3 hours ahead of us. Even though
this is
nothing
insane.
happened, nothing
That's
changed.
insane. And like now we don't even do it consciously because our phones like automatically, at least you used to have to like set your clock. Now I just wake up in the morning and I'm like, feels like it should be 8, but it's 7. Have a great day. Like that. So this aspect where this ties into space is that like nothing is real, and that makes me feel safe because then
I hate it.
no, okay. I just think like then anything you could ever have anxiety about like doesn't actually matter because it's nothing. This is all an elaborate dream.
See, I wish I could feel that way, because instead my brain is like, nothing that exists matters, so therefore
why am I here?
Everything is terrible, and you just need to, like, why not just crawl into bed for the rest of your life?
But see, you could. It would be fine.
Or
you could become like a circus ringmaster, and nobody's the wiser because everything is a lie.
I suppose so. And my honorable mention, just for the folks out there, there are, aliens is a thing that you could be scared of. I am not personally afraid of aliens.
Do you believe that there's extraterrestrial life?
I believe that there is life elsewhere in the universe. I do not believe that it has come here.
Yeah, I don't believe in like little green men.
Yeah.
But I mean, think,
as we said, the universe is too fucking big, and so like I don't think it's reasonable to think that we are the only place that there is life that exists.
See, okay, yeah, same. I'm like, that's like not idiotic. That's mean, but like that would be crazy to think that like the only place that we just happened upon, like.
Yeah, it doesn't seem rational to think that it could only happen in one place.
I'm like, that's fucking stupid. Like
crazy.
That's big dumb. Like rational is a great word.
Yeah, but I'm not afraid of them because I'm just like this. There's too much other stuff that I'm worried about. Like this is not. They're not around here.
Why would they come here? They're probably doing great.
I hope they are. I hope you're doing great, aliens.
They like. Unless they have like their own personal Jeff Bezos, they're probably fine. Like I'm sure they flew here and took one look at Earth and were like, nope, seems like they've got too much going on already. And then they kept on tracking. Yeah, aliens, Don't come here. It's not worth it.
No, it's not.
This is not a place for your timeshare.
And so finally, I do want to just give a shout out to some space horror, because there are a lot of horror movies set in space, confirming that space is scary. Obviously, there is Alien, a classic, a great movie.
Ellen Ripley.
Yup. Which, like, obviously there is the alien, which is scary, but like so much of the horror of that movie comes from just like the claustrophobia of space travel and like being trapped.
Isolation.
Yeah.
The idea of isolation is very scary, and it's, I mean, space, that's kind of the ultimate isolation. Like, you're literally away from humans, other humans.
Another one that I don't know if people like generally consider this to be a horror movie, but Gravity.
Is that the Sandra Bullock one?
Yes.
That movie is horrifying.
So horrifying. So terrifying.
Yeah, I don't know that it's technically classified as a horror. It is, though. I mean,
it is definitely a survival horror.
Way scarier than Alien in the sense of just like, you know, this could happen to a real person.
Also, can I make a stupid confession?
Of course.
So when I watched Gravity, I forgot that fake gravity is not a real thing. Like how, you know, on like any like space show, they're just like, engage artificial gravity.
Oh, like Star Trek.
And I was just sitting there being just like, why doesn't she turn the fake gravity on? And I'm like, oh, that's not real. Oh no.
It is kind of wild though that like in 2022 we don't have that.
Right? And it's just like, it's so like, I mean, obviously you couldn't film anything and have no gravity. So like for filming purposes, you have to be like, oh yeah, and we've invented this. But I'm like, this seems like a thing that we should have.
That those were not actually filmed in space? You're telling me right now.
Right now. And I want to give a shout out to Forbidden Planet from 1956, which I have not seen, but is referenced in science fiction double feature from the Rocky Horror Picture Show. And the first man in space wasn't up there until 1961. So like in advance, we were like, it's probably fucked up there. Like,
probably don't do that, actually.
Probably don't like it.
Why don't we let the Russians have that one? That seems fine. Yeah.
Yes. There is Event Horizon, which I also have not seen, but I know involves black holes, which is just a strong no from me. For those who don't know, the Event Horizon is like the place that you pass where it is no longer possible to escape a black hole. Like, it's
past the large group of quasars.
Yeah, you've gone all the way past all the quasars, and now you're just done.
I actually did not know that was why that was called Event Horizon.
Yes, yeah, that's because it's like you're like maybe being like you're in the gravitational pull like earlier, but like as soon as you pass the Event Horizon, it's like too late. You're going into this hole now.
Ooh. Yeah. Space, man.
Space, it's wild. And I mean, obviously there's also sci-fi stuff. Like when I was looking, I was like, oh yeah, what are some other like horror examples? And people were like Pitch Black and Chronicles of Riddick, and I was like, no. Which I mean, it does take place in space, so that's fair. But I was more thinking of like semi-real, like Forbidden Planet, I'm sure doesn't count either, but like realism kind of focused ones. The other ones,
Clowns from Outer Space, obviously.
Oh yeah, the top of space horror.
Yeah. I think that really highlights all my fears about space. That if I go out there might be just a ton of clowns. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that would be pretty bad. Like, what if you just got up there and there were just a ton of clowns?
I'm not afraid of clowns, so I'd probably be like, this is wild, but...
See, I feel like, because remember we discussed like the weirdness of like having clowns in a place you don't expect them.
Well, like now you're not wrong. That is the least likely. That is okay. I hear you. But also because of that movie, it's also the most likely place I expect.
This is true. This is true. Now we know to expect the clowns.
We have to make like a clown threshold meter somewhere.
The clown Event Horizon.
Yeah.
Once you pass here, it's nothing but clowns.
Then it's suddenly unsettling.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Oh
Well,
man. Space is real crazy, Midge. And
it really is.
I looked at so many pictures of space and I'm like, I find it very beautiful, but I also find it very terrifying. And I feel like those are some of like my favorite spooky things
Well,
where
isn't
like
that
you
kind of like that's kind of the whole thing, right?
yeah.
Like I mean, I think it's the same reason we watch horror movies. It's like really fascinating and fun, but also there's a level of it that's legitimately scary. I think that's in general why we kind of gravitate towards like the macabre. It is like they're
Gravitate.
oh.
Nice. Good
Nice
space
space
reference,
joke.
Midge.
Well, technically not a space reference because they don't have that.
Well, black holes do.
So scary.
Uh-oh.
Where did they get it? Where did they get the gravity? They've been hiding
man.
it up there. They said we actually do have it, but we only give it to our black holes.
Well, that's the thing too. Like I tried so hard to understand space for all of you guys, and it was just like they're so incredibly massive that they have infinite gravity, and I was like,
Infinite gravity.
but why and how does that? What? What are you even talking about?
I have a lot of questions, and most of them are, huh? And what?
Pretty much. Oh my goodness. Well, I know I barely scratched the surface of space horror, so I would love to hear from our listeners what their favorite space horror movies are.
Or if you understand space, let us know.
Yeah, tell us what black holes are.
Write us an angry letter about how stupid we are, because I don't understand. I'm shocked by space.
Yeah, shocked and awed by the power and vastness of space. You will not catch me going up there.
Next year we do like a live episode from the International Space Station. Like,
I was gonna say, even if Jeff Bezos himself was like, "Hey, do you want to come to space?" I would be like, first of all, fuck you. Second of all, no, I do not want to go to space.
Yeah,
I did.
No.
So this actually was not in my notes, and it just reminded me when I was looking at it right now. But did you see that William Shatner said that being in space was depressing?
No.
Like, because Jeff Bezos took William Shatner to space, and like in a recent interview, he was like, yeah, like I expected it to be like really moving and like a really like good experience, but actually it was extremely depressing to like look down on our tiny world. And I was like, yes, I don't agree with William Shatner on many things, but I think that is how I would feel in space.
Yeah. Like, well, it's your the mentality you subscribe to of like, wow, none of this matters.
Yes.
But not in a fun way.
No. Well, on that depressing note,
well, we hope we've depressed you today. Yeah. If you yourself now feel like a black hole, subscribe to this podcast.
Hey. For more hot space facts, you can listen to our podcast. All right, friends. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate everyone who listens, and we especially appreciate when you give us ratings and reviews on your podcast app of choice. And we have a review to read today, Midge, right?
We do. Let me pull that boy up. Here we go. This has the best title of any review we've ever received, possibly. I don't know. It's a hard tie with that one that combines spooky and cozy into one word, spoozy. But the title of this from WordPlayer70 is I'm Enrolled in Ghoul School.
Hey, hell yeah.
I also think this is the best episode we could have read this on because this was not educational. Please don't take any of this information into your classes in real life. Anyway, 5-star review that says, I've learned so much from this podcast. This is why I shouldn't cold read these. I've learned so much from this podcast. I never knew I'd be attending Ghoul School, but I'm so glad I do. I first found Midge through YouTube, and I was pleasantly surprised and pleased to learn that we both live here in Casey area. Oh, hey, nice. Then I found out about the podcast, and I've been hooked. I was very happy to find Penny through that. Me too.
Hey.
Penny's great. 10 of 10. You both are so fun and refreshing, and I've learned so much from you. Thank you for all the time you spend researching and putting this show together. It's a bright spot in every week, and I look forward to it. Goodbye.
Aw. In my defense, I did do a lot of research. I just did not understand any of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. What a great like irony of that review for this
Yes.
episode is absolutely incredible,
Well,
and I'm so
you
thrilled.
you learned what the event horizon is.
I did learn something today.
There
That's
you
true.
go. Black hole facts.
I also learned that William Shatner was depressed in space. I didn't know
Yes.
that. So, two new nuggets of knowledge from this episode.
Just a lot of quality facts. All right, friends, if you want more quality facts, you can follow us on Instagram at Ghouls Night in Pod, where we post photos and you can have a little conversation in the comments about the episodes. And if you are looking for moi, you can find me at Penny Snark.
And you can find me across all platforms at Midge Munster.
And in space, no one can hear you. Goodbye.